Okay, I think we're gonna get started. Okay, it's about time. So we were talking earlier that there's a fast tomorrow. It's the 17th of Tammuz, and I mistakenly thought that was the time that the Beit HaMikdash got destroyed. I stand corrected. It was whenever we stopped offering korbanot in the Beit HaMikdash. What does that mean? Up to then, we weren't really in exile. We weren't considered to be in the diaspora.
What's diaspora?
Diaspora means in the surrounding, meaning other nations, other parts of the world. Because we emanate from Israel. We come from that piece of territory, the most disputed piece of land. That's where we really formed ourselves into a nation when we entered into Israel. Because what is a nation? You need an identity in a land, a language, right? A culture, all of these things. We bought our own. So is Judaism a religion or not?
Both.
Both what? Religion and
Like ethnicity.
ethnicity? That's a common term we hear. Ethno-religion. That's what Wikipedia says Judaism is.
Something that's united.
Something that's united. Anyone else? What is Judaism? What words would you use to describe it to someone who doesn't know what you are? Doesn't know how to understand you?
A nation.
Nation. Okay? Some say people, nation, a community. All of these are explaining some aspects of it. They're all part of what Judaism is. But there's one word that encapsulates it the best. And it includes all of these aspects that we just explained. It's a relationship. And it's very, very important to remember this. It's not a religion. Because if your mom's Jewish, you're Jewish. Even if I don't believe in God, yes. Even if I burned the Torah, yes. So I can't go back? No. There's no way to go back. Something happened to you, to your soul. You can't change it. Something happened to you on Mount Sinai. You ever seen those movies where like someone gets struck with lightning and like they have a superpower, like it's in the kids' movies, whatever. They get struck by lightning and they're like, they grow into like Hulk or something like that. Every scholar that I researched some scholarly works on how non-Jews perceive Judaism, especially from different religions, but even from non-religious people, like what do they think about Judaism? Everyone's trying to understand what the hell happened on Mount Sinai. What happened 3,300 years ago on Mount Sinai? Nobody really understands what happened. They know something happened, but they don't know what it is. Because we know that half of the world was made by whatever event occurred there. That means Christians, Muslims, they make up already half of the world. Christianity came from Judaism. The first people who were Christian were Jewish people. That they keep Shabbat, they kept kosher. It emanated as a branch from Judaism. Obviously, they went south. Why? Because they didn't follow the oral tradition of mysticism. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Who was Jesus? It's a funny word to bring up in the synagogue. But he's Jewish. He's our brother. What are you going to do? Hate him? No. He was a human being. He was one of our fellow humans. Fellow Jewish humans. Okay? You have to have a value for a human being. Okay? We don't just hate somebody like Jesus. Just because we think that he was a terrible person, he did bad things. The Christians hate us, so we have justification. No, forget everybody. He's Jewish. Okay. There's stories about him. Did he resurrect the dead? Did he do this? Did he do that? I don't know. All I know is he lived at the same time as one of the biggest mystics in Jewish history. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar. The Zohar is the central text of Jewish mysticism. The central text. Yeah. Anybody ever met a Jewish mystic, a Kabbalist? They call them Kabbalists. You?
Yeah.
Where?
Sfat.
In Sfat. That makes a lot of sense. Sfat is the city of Kabbalah. Really, it's the city of Kabbalah. Jewish mysticism. Anybody went to Birthright before? you stopped by most likely a small corner on the side of this little area in the old town in Tzvat, and someone gave you a lecture about 10 circles with lines interconnecting these 10 circles. Anybody remember that?
Yep.
If you can go back to that memory. So those are all mystical ideas. That's the different structures of the mind. Those 10 orbs, 10 dimensions of consciousness. These are all very deep ideas. Anyways, the main author of the main book in Kabbalistic wisdom lived at the same time as this man. So those who put the puzzle together, but they also understand what Kabbalah is, they realize something was going on and something went terribly wrong. Somebody rebelled. He was on a very high level, and he rebelled. He went against the sages of his time, which is the oral tradition that I was talking about. But how could you do that? Somebody on that level, if he was truly a holy person, he was truly a spiritual person, what did he do that was so wrong? The sages tell us that he committed some sort of an action, which I don't know if they detail what it is, but it was something that he shouldn't have done, and he was punished by his master for doing, and he wasn't able to come to his classes for a while. All of these things, because when you're on that level, even the smallest things, they can cause tremendously disastrous things to happen in the lower worlds. Because there's worlds. Remember those orbs? We were talking about those circles. People who know this wisdom, they live in the upper worlds. Their consciousness operates in a different frequency, different level. You can attain it. Talking about you. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Anybody's ever gotten high or taken shrooms, they know there are worlds. There are other dimensions. Everybody knows. Quantum physics is slowly getting there. It's getting some really intense things boiling up in the scientific community right now about this. Some awakening is taking place. All of these things are connected. Why is technology advancing so fast? AI is really scary. It can obviously be used for good things, but it's very scary. Anyways, so we're seeing something's awakening in this world right now. There's an energy, there's a power, there's a consciousness that is available more and more every single day that passes to those who have built their vessels for it. They can access it. It's increasing. It's called light. Light. What's light? In fact, before we get to the light, who are you?
Well, not
Yeah.
David Cohen.
David Cohen? Think deeper. Who am I? That's your name. It's a good name, beautiful name. Are you Cohen? But that's his name. We already said there's a difference between something and the name that you attribute to. For example, God, the name of God is right there. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. We said this last week. But that's just the name. And names are made of letters. And letters are vessels. And vessels place limits. Puts definition. How can you use a word to describe something? That means that there's some limit to it. That's just the name of God. So who's God? They call him the Ein Sof. I talked about this a little bit last week. The endless one. We don't know. That's the answer. Who is he? We don't know. That's the honest truth. You can know him to degrees, always. You can expand your vessel's capacity to take in more of this wisdom. I'm talking about people who are involved in spiritual matters, deep, lofty concepts. There's no end to how high they can go. Us. We embark on our own spiritual journey, we realize that there's always more to grow. There's no end. Ein Sof, no end. Anyways, who are you? So we know that there's two aspects to a person. We usually call it soul and body. But if you really think about it, you are made of a substance. I'm not talking about a physical thing. What are you made of? I wonder if anybody can get this answer. I have to formulate the question properly so I can get the right answer. What are you? You are pure desire. Desire. You are made of ratzon. Ratzon is willpower. You're made of willpower. And you use a portion of it every single day. You get rejuvenated during the sleep. You get your dose for the following day. And you receive it in the morning, you pick it up. That's the willpower that you got for that day. You got to spend it before you get tired, and then you got to sleep again. It's allotted specific amount to fit that particular day. You can't use yesterday's willpower for today. You can't use today's for tomorrow's. Every single day has its own portion of willpower that is being provided for you. Let's see what you're going to do with it. Let's see what you're going to do with the willpower. Because you are willpower. And when you think, when you speak, when you act, you're exerting it. You're spending it. Hopefully investing it. Because I want to return my investment. I don't know about you guys. Personally, I want to return my investment. So there's two ways of using the willpower then. One of the ways doesn't give me an income in the future, meaning it doesn't give me a return on my investment. I'm just spending it, using it for a short-term, momentary, satisfactory pleasure that doesn't give me any fruits in the long run, and therefore I'm really taking. I'm not a giver. I'm being a taker. You know those people, they say, I want to live the world, I just want to make a good impact. Right? Okay, how much of a giver are you then? Because so long as you're in this mindset of receive mode, survival mode, but really it's defined by reception, viewing yourself as a receiver, as an end of itself, everything has gone south. The moment you perceive your life through that lens that you are a receiver, something's not going to be able, you're not going to be able to produce. Just like a woman produces a new child, men can produce, they can plant seeds of thought, of consciousness, right? They can cause ripples inside of history, they can cause a good impact. Everybody says they want to die leaving a good impact, right? You have to learn how to be in the giving mindset then. And this is extremely, extremely difficult. How to view your life through the lens, not of a receiver, but as a channel. Which means you're receiving, but only for the sake of... Anybody? What does a channel do? It receives something for the sake of... Say the word.
Giving it to something else.
Giving. To receive for the sake of giving. That's what a channel does. That's the exact language of the mystics. You have to learn how to transform this willpower. Because we've got it. And in its initial state, what do we think? Selfish or selfless? Think. You. When you were younger, were you more selfish or were you more selfless? More selfish. You're all selfish. You start out that way. But we have it. Unless you've gone through this process and you shouldn't be sitting in my class. So, we all have that in us because that's what our mother and our father made whenever they came together on that special night. They created a new concoction, which is a mixture of both of their willpowers. You're receiving personality from the mother and from the father. You're receiving your attributes from the mother and from the father. Something that's not the mother, that's not the father, but it's a new creation. NaCl, sodium chloride. One of them's gonna explode. The other one's gonna, poison you. But you put these two together, what do you get? Salt. Salt you can eat. Salt you must eat. Friday night with your lechem, 3 times you gotta dip it inside of the salt. There's all mystical reasons behind doing these things. The salt represents something. It's the same letters as lechem. The same letter for salt in Hebrew is the same letters for bread in Hebrew. Salt and bread represent 2 types of energies. Salt is doing something, to rectify something in the bread. There's all these preventative measures, there's all these spiritual reasons why we're doing things that the 99.9% of the religious world don't have any idea about. No idea. It's crazy when you realize it. It's true. 99.9% of the people don't know this wisdom. So they take it as tradition. Tradition. Thank you. Thank you for preserving it. That was the work of Hashem, really. Hashem said He's never going to let it evaporate from the world. There's always going to be Torah in the world. So thank you for doing your work and preserving it. But you didn't preserve the real tradition, the authentic tradition. We've lost so much along the way. Tell me, when you say something to your friend and she says it to her friend, eventually things get lost over generations. And the ones who fall in their state of spirituality, they lose touch with the higher worlds. You see, we started as a spiritual people. We came from above. This is something people don't really understand. We came from upstairs. Imagine, you've got the divine realm. This is the way I imagine it, because this is the way they explain it. The mystics of Judaism, they explain what really is the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. You want to know really what it is? Our souls came from an upper dimension. They were dispatched, like as soldiers in a war. They were sent out into the world of Egypt. They were thrown into the world of Egypt. You've got a job, I don't care, you want to or not, you go against your will. But obviously Hashem has compassion and love and all of these positive attributes because you are His children. But He sent you to go to war because He wants a home in the lowest world. The king wants a home in the lowest world. He wants a dira betachtoina. That's how the Chabadniks say it. Dira betachtoina. That means a dwelling place in the tachtona, in the lowest realms of the consciousness, which is where we are. Boom! That's where we are. We are in the lowest world. So I came here from somewhere. Oh, okay, I didn't come from here. That means if I go deeper inside, I'm going to find more goodness, more holiness, right? Because I came from the divine world. That means if I look inside, deep inside myself, and ask myself who I am, I should find divine attributes. I should find divine traits. Because that's what the soul is. It's a part of God from above. Tell me, does God have compassion on other people? Does God express kindness towards people? Is God patient? Yeah, so if I'm a part of Him, because my soul is from Him, then I have those traits too. That's how simple it is. If you're a part of Him and He has those attributes, then you have those attributes. That means if God is good, if God is kind, if God is holy, that means you are too. If you're part of Him, if you believe in the soul. So all of these judgments that we have today about ourselves, that maybe I'm not such a high and holy person, maybe I'm not such a great guy, maybe I'm not such a great girl, those are trash. Those are garbage that we picked up along the way. And we fell for it. We fell for it and then we fell. You know, whenever you fall, why do we say that? You fell for it. Because you looked at some thought in your mind that appeared in your mind, and it was motivating you to do something that was not holy, that truly was not something that was good. And you felt so enticed to listen to that particular thought or that voice, and you said, let me open it up, let's see what this is. And you fall. It was a trap door. That's the whole concept of what sin means. It doesn't mean like, we have to whip you 39 times on your back. No. Relax. It means that you have caused a blemish in the upper worlds, which distances the you down here from the you up there. That's a distance that you've created, which we already explained last week, that causes suffering in the upper worlds. We didn't put that together. It's a very deep and very scary thing when you learn mysticism, because you realize that our actions down here have tremendous effects in the upper worlds. Tremendous effects. Tzaddikim, righteous people, they endure a lot on our behalf. A lot. Yeah. Anyways, so your willpower. You are willpower. The way you use it, okay, that's up to you. But if you exist, no, you were created. Against your will, you were brought into this world, and against your will, you're going to be taken from it. That's what the Gemara says. So whether you want to or not, you don't have a choice at the end of the day. So why not put a smile on? You're all in. You're all in. You have nothing to lose. Why not put a smile on your face? Every day. Why not go and learn the attributes of God and try to embody them and be a light into the world? Why not? What, do you want to live in a world that we're living right now? You'd rather this over that? I choose otherwise, personally. I'm not into that. A world of self-doubt, a world of anxiety, a world of looking for other people's attention, a world of just selfishness, a world of ends, a world of limitations. Not interested in that. I want a world of limitlessness for myself, because I know that if I'm willpower and if I have a connection to the ultimate giver of life and the giver of will, anything is possible. Anything. It's truly awesome when you realize that, though. That means anything you can imagine could theoretically exist. Maybe it does. You don't know. Anyways, let's talk about another. Any questions so far? I wonder if anybody has any questions. No? Okay. I thought there would be questions because upper worlds, lower worlds. This is what? What does that even mean? Why are you saying world? What's the word for world in Hebrew? Olam. What's the shoresh? That means what's the root of this word? Like a tree, you got tree with branches and roots. I want to know what the root of this word is.
Ein Lamed Mem.
Ein Lamed Mem. Final mem. It's different. Anyway. Elam, that means to conceal. To hide. The word world means to hide. So when God created the world, what is it? Whoa. God created a world, okay. Olam means to hide. That means he created a curtain. He created a screen. He created some sort of entity that hides him. Imagine, but at the beginning, at the very, very beginning of everything, you've just got endless light. Imagine a blank piece of paper with no corners, no perimeter to this paper. No perimeter! In fact, the circle is better, but no perimeter still. Circle is better. I'll tell you why in a second. Anyway. This is the first state. It's just, really it's nothing. But it's everything. That's God. That's the Ein Sof. That's what we were talking about earlier. That's the endless light. That's what the way the Kabbalists call it. The endless light. A world of just light. Infinite potential, highest peak of any existence. That is God. That's the creator. Okay. But then to create a world means to conceal. So that means if you got a bunch of light, what's the opposite of light? It's the absence of light. Yeah, I just wanted to say something different to make you feel bad. Yes. It's the absence of light. It's the darkness. But it's a little bit of a throw off because darkness is a type of light. It's a dark light. It's a dark light. It's a type of energy that can be utilized. It's dark to you. Anyway. Because really the darkness is light that is concealed from you. But that's a different subject. What we call darkness is actually a greater light. It gets really weird. Wait, whoa. So that means the darker you go, it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. The potential for a greater light is greater the more of ego a person has. The more selfish you are, that's why I have a teacher, he says, I only want to work with people with big egos. I'm not into the people with little egos. Because the ones with bigger egos have a greater potential. And a person who wants to make stuff happen doesn't want to waste his time with the people with little desire. He wants to spend his time, invest his time in a student that's going to really give him a return on his investment. If you catch what I'm saying. Because the student continues the work of the master in a spiritual tradition like this one. It's all connected like a web. You guys seen like a spider's web? You've got like a web, everything's connected, the internet is a web. Okay, same thing happens with all of our minds. It's a web. All of our minds are connected. So that's if you don't try with the circles and the lines, yeah, it's like neurons, like dots and lines, and yeah, everything's connected. Those circles and lines, they represent connection points. There's a world called the world of points. Olam Nekudim. You've ever seen The Matrix? You won't believe what's real. Olam Nekudim, the world of points. Such a high level of consciousness that you can see the matrix. Then before that, you can see letters. Righteous people, they can see the world, but they see it through letters. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But you know that letters are really numbers. So then it becomes that everything is math. And then you realize that mysticism is science of the upper worlds. But it's a science. It's a metaphysics. There is no such thing as an atheist in the world. They don't exist. But Nathan, we have friends that they claim to. No, none. There are no such thing as atheists. And I'll prove it to you. It's really good. You ask a scientist, you don't believe in God? No, where's your proof? Okay. So what do you believe in? What do you mean? Science. Okay, what does science say? What's the ultimate goal here? If you're not trying to help us understand that, then what's the science for? So tell me, what do you have to tell us? Is life what we see here? Is this it? There's no brighter future. This is evolution. That's all it is. It's not something higher than evolution. We're animals at the end of the day. You can't be selfless ever. Okay, science is going in a direction that they're understanding about the physical world, but they're obviously detached from higher order concepts that need to be integrated to actually live a positive life. Anyway, you ask him, so how did the world begin? How did the world come into existence? Well, there was a Big Bang. There was a singularity. This is what he'll tell you. There was a singularity. You're gonna laugh. And this singularity contained all of the power in the entire damn universe. Slowly you're gonna realize how absurd, but correct, that these scientists are going. There is a singularity, contained all of the power in the entire universe. Because you know that from that point it expanded and we got the universe as it is today. All the planets, all the stars, all the black holes, all the everything that exists in the physical realm comes from that point that the scientists call Big Bang. Okay, scientist June, Neil deGrasse Tyson June. Does Ahmad tell me, how did this Big Bang occur? Oh, that is a question we can't answer. Why? Well, you see, whatever it was a cause, and therefore that means it has to precede the time, because we know that time comes into existence from the Big Bang and on. And it has to be beyond space, because, well, space only exists from the Big Bang and on. You're telling me, Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson Jr., that whatever caused the Big Bang was beyond time. It was beyond space. You're telling me it was all powerful. You just don't like the word God. Ha! I got you. You just have a problem with the word God because it's attributed to religion. And you don't like the religions. This is where you start to realize mysticism and science, they go hand in hand. Mysticism is different than religion. Judaism was never a religion. I truly challenge anybody to go find me a word in the entire Torah that mentions any such concept of a religion, Judaism. You don't find it. Not even in the oral traditions. It comes later. So what are we? We are a relationship, like we said. We are here to connect. We have a mission. We have a connection that we've got to make in this particular world, which means to bring this world and attach it to the upper worlds, which is why we were dispatched into this world for. Like we said earlier, the souls of Israel were transmitted from an upper dimension. I know it sounds bonkers, but there's no other way to understand the situation. This is the truth. And Moses received instructions from whatever being that was, which we know is Hashem. And he told him, I need you to really understand that you guys are a chosen people. I have selected you. For all of human history, I have seen the way that the world has unfolded. But it is you guys that I'm choosing at this moment to be the bearers of this truth. That's what he told Moses. In a much calmer tone, and trust me, in a much kinder voice. It was through the wisdom of centeredness. Moses is claiming that he has reached the peak of consciousness. He's claiming he's hit the highest level. He's hit Hakadosh Baruch Hu. He made a phone call. He tried to see how high he can reach. That was in the spiritual sense. He went into a meditation. He tried to reach as high as he can in the spiritual worlds, the prophetic realms. He hit Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Insane idea. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu was like, wow. All these years, someone found me. He was so happy. He was like, quick, take my 10 commandments. Go funnel the wisdom, funnel the wisdom, funnel the wisdom. Remember channels? Channel. It's time. Manifest this wisdom, receive it, receive it, receive it. That's what Kabbalah means. Kabbalah means reception. That's really the essence of the Torah. That's the essence of Judaism. That's the main aspect of the Torah. The Ikar. Ashkenazis say Iker. It's the Iker. It's the main thing. And once you somehow find a way to detach from the light, that wisdom departs from you. It's very easy to fall. It's much harder to get back up. We used to be on an elevated plane as a people. Because we had, like we said before, we've got some selfishness in here. In our previous reincarnations, we all are coming from this same group. If you don't believe in reincarnation, then it's even biologically still true. Genetically, every Jew comes from one of those 600,000 people. And we know that the mindset, the consciousness of the earlier generations is within you. Deep, 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 deep down. You ever get memories that you're like, or you have dreams, you're like, this place seems very familiar, but I don't know where it is. Or maybe you have a dream of a memory that never occurred. Because we know that they say that it's all going to be memories. The dreams are all memories. But you don't even, usually you remember it, somehow familiar, but so the channels of this tree of life, this family tree, if you trace back your family tree, all the way back to one of those 600,000 individuals that were part of the group that received the Torah, whom you directly come from. That's what makes you Jewish. He had seen something. He had experienced something. And he told his son. He told his son. You guys ever have family traditions? Anybody have family traditions? Is that just a me? I don't know. Anybody have like stories from their great-grandfather or their great-great-grandparents? I mean, some people have a family tree that they can see multiple generations back. Like people, I know somebody who has a book. Actually, my rabbi has a book because they've been keeping track. There's a reason to keep track when you're on a spiritual path. My rabbi is a descendant of the very, very holy people. Kabbalists, people who are deep into this wisdom, they have this family tree because it really matters. Every person who was, because it could be part of them is in you, and you can access it and you can change it. You can go back in time into deeper consciousness, which means previous incarnations. You guys believe in reincarnation? Judaism does. So this is where this whole idea is coming from. They say that whenever you make a mistake in a previous life and you don't rectify it in that lifetime, you have to come back to rectify it. But that means that you're given similar scenarios because there's some pattern that's repeating itself generation after generation, and they've failed to make the rectification. Are you going to be the one to break this chain? Are you going to be the one to reverse the descending? Why do I say descending? Not that every generation that comes is, but we see that the world is going in a direction. Did anybody not see the world going in a direction? Speak now or forever hold your peace. So no. So it's harder and harder to keep on to the light as time passes. As time passes, it gets darker and darker and darker for those in the lowest world, if you haven't connected to the upper worlds, which means if you haven't connected to Hashem. Everybody has a base connection to Hashem, otherwise you can't exist. But to add to that, you've got to reach your soul. To reach your soul, you need a purified vessel. To purify your vessel, you need Torah study. You need deep dedication. You need to be willing to do what it takes in order to reach the fulfillment of your deepest desire. Otherwise, you don't really want it. It's just a will. But you're not willing to go through what it takes to gain the power. To make that will into a reality. Manifestation. It's all about manifestation. The world has been corrupt. The word has been used in so many contexts that it's like, what? It's really all about manifestation. You can create a new world. You can create a new you. It starts up here. The world, the way it is right now, is the fruit of a plant that was put into the ground a long time ago. Seeds that were planted many, many, many years ago. These are the fruits of those seeds that we've planted. What seeds are you planting now? What type of future do you want? You're planting the seeds for it right now. For your children. I'm talking about for your children. If you don't care about the direction that yours is going, think about your children. That's really what will get you motivated. That's what I use. Right? I don't really care that much, but when I think about my children, oh my God, what they're going to have to go through. Do I want them to have to go through those things? Or do I want them to be equipped like people in a war? So equipped that they're going to win it. They're going to be part of the winning team. I want my children to be grown up as warriors. And I want them to be grown up with an understanding of psychology and spirituality. I want them to be in it. So for that reason, I'm planting the seeds. But Nathan, why not start when you're older in life? When you're 40? You want to start planting the seeds then? By the time they grow into something, you're not going to have the willpower left to execute it. Plant the seeds now, because we're in our prime. And people don't think about these things that we're talking about in this type of class. They might think about it on the side, but they try their hardest to distract themselves, purposefully avoiding what they know is possible if they just somehow would be able to see it and stay there. We talked about this many times, that everybody has a perception about who they truly are inside. Knock, knock. There's somebody inside. And that's the soul. That's the you. And that you, as we've said last week already, desperately wants to be free. Desperately. If you were in contact with it, you would feel it. Anybody who's ever felt that before, it's called yearning or longing for something deeper, for something greater, for something true, for something that you can really rely on Anybody ever yearned like that before? You're experiencing the suffering of the soul. Because it's conscious. You are conscious. It's called the subconscious. It's called the unconscious. It's called the superconscious. I don't care. Not my business. I don't learn their vocabulary. The Kabbalah is telling us they are also aware. Not to you. There are many yous. Psychology says you've got the conscious, you've got the subconscious, you've got the unconscious, you've got the superconscious. Those are the levels of my being. If I go deeper, I'm going to access them. Eventually, I'm going to hit the soul. Cognitive science is going to be the opening into the mystical. Because the moment you ask, what caused this Big Bang to expand? You've left science. You've left physics. You've left time. You've left space. You've left the physical dimension. Now there's theoretical physics. Now there's all of these different things happening because they're waking up. There is a light that is available in the world. Whatever is possible for the side of holiness has that same capability on the side of impurity. That means that if technology is advancing right now, which it is extremely fast, it's advancing at a rate that we can't stop it. It's already gotten out of hand. It's already too late. Elon Musk said, if you trust his opinion on these things, and he's an expert in it. Most people aren't experts. He's behind a lot of these things too. But who knows, maybe he's a good voice, a good force, I don't know yet. We have to see what's the results. But technology is advancing, that means that there's some sort of an advancement happening in the world at large. Something's cooking faster and boiling hotter. That didn't work? No. You've ever seen a woman in labor? Whenever the baby is ready to come out, she starts feeling the first contraction. Oh gosh, it's coming. The pain of the labor, you've got stages to it. It's very painful. I'm sure you already know that, I don't have to say that. Anyway, but what's going to be coming out of this pain? What's it all for? The labor pains that a woman goes through in order to not conceive, but to deliver a child eventually. Those are they call them dinim. Dinim means judgments that have been decreed upon that person that they need to purify. And since they didn't purify, if they didn't purify, I should say, they experience this. It's a tremendous amount of pain. But it gives birth to something new. And that something new is worth it. It's worth it. But it doesn't minimize the pain of the contractions. That's happening with the world. We've entered into a phase in the spiritual. All of the religions and mystical traditions are talking about it. It's not a Jewish thing. I'm not talking here about Judaism. I'm talking about truth. And Judaism has the truth. But remember, it's not a religion. Just to make sure you understand that this is a wisdom. This is a science that has become lost throughout the generations. We used to know it. We used to live it. And you still do deep down. You just got to access it. That's why the sages say, when you were in the womb of your mother, an angel comes and teaches you your entire portion in the Torah that you need to know in order to rectify your soul and not have to come back to reincarnation anymore. That means he teaches you exactly your portion of what Torah you need to learn. And I'm not just talking about in a book. I'm talking about Torah as in the truth, meaning you got to go deep inside. But whatever it was the consciousness of the womb. The mindset of the baby in the womb is that exact mindset that you are challenged with revealing into this particular world. You have to access it, integrate it, then you become whole. Right now, we're not. Right now we're only a piece. A piece. My rabbi always tells me, Nathan, your mind can't bend enough to have the capacity to imagine the types of things that I'm learning right now. He says that to me almost every week I meet with him. You can't even imagine. I was shocked. I thought I would be able to imagine it. Like, I thought I have a pretty crazy imagination already. But he's telling me it's beyond what you would have ever thought possible. Oh, I got a rush out of that. I just got the chills. That wakes me up to desire it. That is, I'm feeling a flame when he says that. Does anybody else feel a flame? That's the light. When you're in touch with that flame, where you desire to know the truth and you desire to be on an adventure. You want to go on an adventure? Turn left on aisle 1. If you want to go down this adventure, make the move. Tick tock. Tick tock. Because every single moment that you waste thinking and doubting, that's the Amalek. You're giving power to Hamas. You want to live in a world without God? That's what God says. You asked for it. You want to live in a world without me? I'm going to cry over it. I'm very sad about that. Ultimately, Bezrat Hashem, whatever it is, will be transformed into light as well. That's what Hashem says, and He knows it will. But for the meantime, I'm going to have some distance between me and my children. That brings Him a lot of pain, like we said. But we chose the world that we're living in today. This is very, very hard to talk about with people, especially religious people, because it's so easy to point the finger at someone else. It's so attractive to blame other people because there's something in it for you. You're innocent and now you're elevated above whoever else you're going to accuse. What do you want to accuse? You're going to accuse God? In a way, you could, but you understand that we chose the reality that we're living in. Even if you're born into it. Because like we said, all of this reincarnation is happening behind the scenes. Everything is a continuation. We might not be able to see how everything fits together, why this person is born into this type of a scenario, why that person is born into a lavish lifestyle. What if we were born in Gaza? What if we were born there? Or you think you wouldn't be one of them, but you don't know. Whatever it is, it's something that's suffering. Suffering. What's happening in Gaza is suffering. Don't doubt that. Don't buy the people who say, oh, no. Whatever it is, they're trapped. Obviously, we know what is the reason for that. They're being controlled by a leadership that is in touch with their souls. What's the soul of the descendants of Ishmael? What's the rectification that he needs? Anybody remember the story from last week? What is the essence of the Israel-Palestine conflict when you look into Torah? It's the story of... Amalek? No. It comes from the story of Ishmael and Isaac, 2 sons out of the 8 sons of Abraham. Isaac was the chosen seed. Ishmael was the older brother. Usually the older brother should be the chosen seed. They're in touch with their souls of the descendants of Ishmael. What's the rectification that they need? Jealousy. That means they're willing to have their own people suffer because they don't want the Jewish people to be chosen. That means they're willing to kill their children. That means they're willing to rape people and accuse the people that were raped. That means they like to behead children. That means they like to put people in ovens. Why? Because they don't want the Jewish people to have that land. No! No! That's what they say. They're like a dog that hasn't been trained, that hasn't been tamed. I'm talking about the Hamas leadership. And the people that are under their control, it's very sad what's happening. You have to feel the suffering, you have to feel the pain in order to understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with here. You have to understand what's happening in the world. If you care about Israel, you have to understand the root. It's impossible to understand what's happening in the world if you don't know Torah. It's impossible to understand the context for what we see if we didn't have the teachings, even the values that were passed down from our own parents. Who's to say you wouldn't be marching against Israel right now? As some people in my own family, which I love them with my heart open. But you see how a person without Torah just doesn't have a moral compass. Or a visual compass. He doesn't know what's the truth. He's looking at things. He's following his eyes. He doesn't know better. He doesn't know what context to interpret the situation in. What's the true narrative here? Everybody has a narrative. They've got their own narrative. We've got, what's our narrative? Who are we? What do we know to be the truth? When you look at the way that things are unfolding, it is a miracle that we revived the state of Israel, the land of Israel, after 2,000 years. It's a miracle. The 6-Day War, miracle. Tell me one other person who really revived their language after 2,000 years. We don't realize how crazy that is. No one. And if you don't believe that you are a miracle, then you won't be able to begin this journey. You haven't yet woken up. But if you understand that you are a miracle, everything is a miracle. But come on, Sarah was 90 years old when she gave birth to Isaac. 90! So we are born of a miracle. That is already established. Am I going to use my powers? Plural. See your left hand? You won't believe it. See your right hand? You guys ever watched Avatar? You're a being of light. You can heal. Oh, let me not give the pitch. You can heal. You can get healed. Anybody ever have something that, some sort of a deficiency in them? They were born with maybe some people have some diseases, they're born with some whatever conditions. You want to bring healing to yourself? It's possible. It's all through light work. It's crazy that this is not taught. It's so crazy. I'm talking about at least to the people who desire it. People desire it, they go to Buddhism. People who want it, they go somewhere else because they don't find it in Judaism. At least give it as an outlet for people who want more, who have a stronger desire, who have woken up. Give them a way out. But the Gemara says, if they are worthy, the teacher will come. But that doesn't excuse you from searching for it. Both of these have to be there. Light and vessel. Teacher, student means light and vessel. These two got to work together if they want to work. They have to collaborate. They have to cooperate. Anyways. It's 9 o'clock. Okay. We're going to go now. We're going to, where did we go last week again? Melrose Burger. It's going to be the same place. Thank you guys for coming.